Hey guys, it's Veronica from teacherveronica.com. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be dispelling some more homeschooling myths. Before we get started, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. On this channel, you will learn about online teaching as well as homeschooling. So if that is what you're interested in, you are in the right place. Myth number 1. Homeschooling parents must be completely organized and know all the subjects that they are teaching. They must understand the ins and outs of these subjects in order to teach them. Now, folks, this is just not true. There are curriculums that are catered to all different levels of teachers. There are curriculums that spell everything out for you, even down to the homework that needs to be assigned. And then there are more flexible curriculums that allow you to go at your own pace and cater to your students' specific needs. You do not need to know trigonometry to teach it. You do not need to understand algebra or physics, and here's why. My son is currently taking trigonometry, and I am not a math person. He's been taking advanced math courses for the last couple of years, and currently trigonometry is an elective for him because he has fulfilled all of his high school math requirements. Trigonometry as an elective. That would not be my first choice. So how do I teach this if I don't understand it, or I don't like it, or I just don't want to? There are independent study curriculums out there that your children can use. What do I mean? My son's trigonometry course is by Switched On Schoolhouse, SOS, and they actually send you a little thumb drive with the curriculum on it. We plug it into the computer, download the curriculum, and it is all on there for him. It will teach him, it will give him quizzes and tests, and it will grade him. He also has the option to upload projects that are due right into the system. I can log on my end because there's a student portal and a parent portal, so I can log on my end. I can check his progress, I can check his due dates, I can adjust his due dates, but it's all there done for me. I don't have to understand trigonometry, and I don't have to grade trigonometry, and I love that. So that is one myth dispelled. You do not need to be an expert on any particular subject in order for your child to successfully complete that subject. There are also public schools that will offer virtual school. I know now with the pandemic, it's kind of a hybrid system, but before this started, there were virtual schools in place in many states across the country, if not all of them. They would provide you with the curriculum. Your child would learn through the school system, but at home. So that is an option if that's what you choose to do. Homeschool myth number 2. No kids want to homeschool. Their parents make them. That can't be farther from the truth. On the contrary, there are some public schooled kids that my children have interacted with when we've participated in archery. There's a public school that allows homeschoolers to participate in that program, and the public schooled kids were just so curious about my children's schooling, and they kept expressing how they wished that they could be homeschooled. So that is definitely a myth. Now, granted, there are some homeschool children that don't want to be homeschooled, but that doesn't mean that that is the case for all or even the majority of homeschoolers. Homeschool myth number 3. Homeschooling hurts public schools. Listen, we still pay taxes and get no benefit. Plus, we have to pay out of pocket for our curriculum. So I'm not exactly sure how that is hurting the public school system when they are still getting paid for my child, even though my child is not attending. So this is simply not true, and many people don't know this, but yes, schools get paid a certain amount per child, and they are required to spend that, and that is how they provide books, and they provide lunches, and they provide all of these things to kids for free. But what many people don't know is that schools still get paid for our homeschoolers that stay home. Yeah. I think if I were to send my kids to school, they would pay me to keep them at home. I'm just kidding. My kids are not awful, but they do have a lot of energy, and I am not sure how exactly they would get them to sit still. Homeschool myth number 4. Homeschooling parents commit child abuse at greater rates than the general population. This is just not true. Again, this is a case of we only know about what we hear in the press. They highlight the homeschoolers that are living in deplorable conditions or kept in a closet or chained to their bed or whatnot, whatever horrors that the media portrays. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you've heard me say that I am not a teacher by trade. I am a social worker by trade. I worked with children. I was a child abuse investigator and later a child abuse investigation supervisor. I worked with the Department of Children and Families, and I investigated hundreds, if not thousands, of child abuse cases. In all the years that I worked as a child abuse investigator, I investigated less than a handful of cases of homeschoolers who were abused. Many might say it's because they are not visible in the community or they're being kept from the outside world, and that is true in some cases, but the myth that homeschoolers are abused in more instances than the general population is simply not true. Statistically, it has not been proven. Homeschooling does not equal truancy. A truant family who claims to be homeschooling is not really homeschooling, and it is not fair to attribute that to the homeschooling population. So I can sit here all day and claim to be a dentist and pull out my kids' teeth because I claim to be a dentist. Does that make me a dentist? Does that mean that the real dentists out there are bad? No. So as you can see, this myth is just that, a myth. Sorry if I got a little heated there. Honestly, as a child protective investigator, that just hits really close to home. And even though I don't work for the department anymore, I am still a huge advocate of children, and I take child abuse allegations very seriously. All right, so homeschool myth number 5. Homeschoolers miss out on the high school experience. Okay, it's not a traditional high school experience, but homeschoolers' high school experience is still very rich. Did you know there's homeschool prom? Yeah. Homeschoolers have their own prom. Homeschoolers have their own graduation ceremonies. Homeschoolers get to play sports many times within the public school system. Homeschoolers get to participate in volunteer activities. Homeschoolers still get to go on field trips and hang out with their friends, dissect animals, and all of that stuff that you would normally do in a traditional high school. Obviously, it depends on the individual families and how much they are willing to do and involve their children in. My kids have dissected sharks and frogs and other disgusting things within our homeschool group, and they loved it. I did not. Thankfully, other parents took the initiative, and that is a skill that they were strong in, so they taught that, and other parents like me could just sit back and watch. So no, they don't miss out on the high school experience. They still have a very rich experience as homeschooled children. Many homeschoolers are dual enrolled, just like traditionally schooled children, so by the time that they graduate, they also have their AA degree, or at least they have a lot of their college credits already out of the way. Homeschoolers attend camps. They get to be camp counselors. They get to volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. There are just so many opportunities that homeschoolers have. As a parent, you just need to seek them out. If your homeschool group doesn't already offer these opportunities or is not very active, you can take the lead and provide this opportunity for the homeschoolers in your group. Homeschooling myth number 6. Some people believe that homeschooling is equal to sheltering children. I cannot speak for every single family out there, obviously, but in my 13 to 14 years of homeschooling, I have come across so many different families. I don't think I've ever seen a case of a homeschooling family wanting to shelter their children. On the contrary, we were always seeking more opportunities to socialize our kids with each other and to provide ample opportunities for them to participate in many different extracurricular activities. Inevitably, children will have conflicts, they will have disagreements, and they will also learn how to resolve them, just like a child would in a traditional school. They learn how to deal with things and overcome issues, just like any other child. True homeschooling families do seek to expose their children to as much as they can. Homeschool myth number 7. Homeschoolers are lazy. They play all day. They never get out of their pajamas. They play video games. Okay, I can't speak for every single homeschooler, but we literally know hundreds of homeschoolers, and I don't know any that just play video games all day. Homeschoolers are just like any other child. They're going to try to get out of doing schoolwork at some point. They are going to want to go outside and have fun and play, just like any other child would. But that does not mean that they are lazy or that all they do is play all day. Now, I must admit, my kids do spend a lot of time in PJs. But then again, I do too. I usually teach in my pajamas in the morning, so to each his own. No judgment here. If you want to get fully dressed up and decked out to homeschool, then you do you. We are comfortable in PJs in the morning, and when we're done with school, we get into our clothes and get on with our day. Homeschool myth number 8. Colleges and universities won't accept homeschoolers. Now, there are a variety of studies that have been done. You can just Google and find research that has been done on the subject. Homeschoolers tend to do better on standardized testing like the ACT and the SAT than their traditionally schooled peers, and that is a fact. Homeschooling has become much more mainstream, and colleges and universities definitely do accept homeschoolers. Even Harvard accepts homeschoolers. So if homeschoolers can get into Harvard, I'm sure they can get into anywhere else they'd like to go. I'm just going to throw all of these little statements about homeschooling in together. Homeschoolers are weird, they're nerds, they're brilliant, they're gifted, they're spoiled. They do whatever they want. They don't have to do homework. Homeschooling is too expensive. These all just sound like a bunch of excuses. As far as weird, nerdy, and brilliant go, there are kids on all waves of the intelligence spectrum. There are many children with special needs. I have a child on the autism spectrum. I have a child with ADHD, and I have a child with cerebral palsy. So we have special needs all over our house. One or more of my children may be more brilliant than one or more of my other children. I don't know how to say that. I may have a child that's more brilliant than the other. That's just the way it is. That is what makes us who we are. That would be the same in a public school setting. Some kids are smarter than others. That's just the way it is. Some kids excel in reading. My youngest excels in reading and writing. My oldest excels in math. Let's not talk about spoiled, because come on. I've seen plenty of children around that are spoiled. I don't think spoiled children should be attributed to public schooled or homeschooled. That's just the way that your home is and the way that the children are raised. That has nothing to do with schooling. My kids have homework. Homeschoolers have homework. As far as being weird, I'm weird. I mean, I've always been weird. I had a hard time fitting in school because I made it a point to march to the beat of my own drum. I didn't like to follow the norm, or I didn't like to follow the trends or whatnot. I wasn't trendy. I wasn't, even now, I'm still the same way. So, and I wasn't homeschooled. I'm still weird. So I don't think that being weird should be attributed to homeschooling again. Okay, that's it. I hope you had fun with these homeschooling myths being debunked. I hope that I was able to clarify some points. And above all, I just want homeschooling to be normalized. I want people to view homeschooling as a normal thing. Up until 100, 150 years ago, homeschooling was the norm. Let's not forget that. It's not as weird as many people think. If you'd like to hear some more homeschooling myths debunked, check this video out, where I talk about the 5 most common homeschooling myths. If you're interested in learning more about unschooling versus homeschooling, check this video out. And of course, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for staying till the end. I will catch you in the next one. Bye!